Back on the SportsMax Zone, time for some cricket. 15 days to go before the start of the first test of the historic three-match biosecure test series between the West Indies and England, which begins on the 8th of July at the AGS Bowl in Hampshire. The West Indies on Tuesday completed day one of their three-day inter-squad practice match at the Emirates Old Trafford ground. The squad match delivered or featured the opposing captains, Kraigg Braithwaite against Jason Holder. And here is the lineup Braithwaite having in his setup. Campbell, Brooks, Hope, Chase, Dorich, Reefer, Shamar Holder, Phillip, Warrican, Harding and Thomas. Holder's 11 has Mosley, Blackwood, Ambrose, Bonner, De Silva, Mears, Cornwall, Joseph, Roach, Gabriel and Preston McSween, the Windward Islands fast bowler. Now batting first, Braithwaite's 11 were dismissed for 275 with opener Kraigg Braithwaite, top scoring with 84. Shea Hope was among the runs also, he got 83. Alzari Joseph 4 for 60 and Shannon Gabriel 3 for 32. They were the pick of the bowlers for Holder's 11. The West Indies head coach Phil Simmons says the practice match will help the team to decide how they will fill the hole in batting caused by the decision of Shimron Hetmar and Darren Bravo to not tour England because of their fears of the COVID-19. And certainly from what happened today, if they're looking to fill the batting positions, I think Kraigg Braithwaite and Shimron and Shea Hope, who got runs today, were pretty much secure. So it may be those batsmen in the reply in Jason Holder's 11 that will be trying to stake their claims, Blackwood and others.
Yeah, just before we get into the discussion though, can I just go through the scorecard? I think the viewers would want to hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Braithwaite made 84 of 162 balls, 9 fours, strike rate of 51.9, of course bowled by Kemar Roach for 84. John Campbell caught Joseph, bowled Gabriel for naught. He faced 16 balls, John Campbell, for his naught. Shamar Brooks caught De Silva, bowled Gabriel for 17. Shea Hope caught Cornwall, bowled Joseph for 83. Roston Chase caught De Silva, bowled McSween for 37. Shane Dorich caught De Silva, bowled Gabriel for 6. Raymond Reefer caught Jason Holder, bowled Joseph for 18. Jamel Warrican caught De Silva, bowled Cornwall for 1. Harding not out naught. Phillip caught Cornwall, bowled Joseph naught. And Shamar Holder bowled Joseph for naught. De Silva had 4 catches. Joseph had 2, and Cornwall had a couple as well. Rakeem Cornwall bowling for, well, the bowling figures. Kemar Roach had 14 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 52. Shannon Gabriel 13 overs, 4 maidens, 3 for 32. Alzari Joseph 16 overs, 5 maidens, 4 for 60. Preston McSween 12 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 42. Kyle Mears 8 overs, 3 maidens, none for 16. And Jimbo Cornwall 16 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 54. And there were no wides. And yeah, so that's a tale of the tape so far. 79 overs is what Braithwaite's 11 used up in their innings of 275 all out.
Well, for me, I think what stood out is the fact that, yes, we saw Shea Hope and Kraigg Braithwaite. Braithwaite was one of the people that I said I had some time for, and I wouldn't pressure him, as everybody was saying, you know. He hasn't been scoring for some time. I'm happy to see both of them, you know. They seem very settled in the middle. What I am concerned about, though, is the fact that they get starts. Like, why can't you just push a little further till you make the 100? So that's something I'll be a little bit critical about, and I hope that they can rectify that when they actually play the test. Another thing I'm worried about is that they make all these runs in the practice matches and time to deliver, because those things happen. You know, you do well for the practice match and then time to score. So those are little things to monitor. I still think this is a practice match, and I have to see what happens on the actual game before.
Yeah. And one of the other reasons why you should not read too much into it is that they are facing bowling that they're accustomed to. It's one squad, they play regional cricket together, they have been squad members before, so in the nets they face these bowlers and so on, so they are actually batting against bowlers who they have a lot of experience facing, which won't be the case when Jimmy Anderson and company lines up against them.
Yeah, just one quick one before we go on. Kraigg Braithwaite, I was looking at the statistics beside his name.
Yeah.
He, as I noted, he faced 162 balls. He batted for 220 minutes, 124 dot balls in his innings, which isn't a problem if he does this at test level and makes runs. That's not the issue.
Yes.
His strike rate, 51.9, as I noted, but it's about batting rather against bowling that you're not as familiar with as this, and translating a start and a good foundation into runs. Shea Hope quickly lands 83 runs, Mariah. 127 balls he was there for, 240 minutes, 92 dot balls. So he faced less balls than Kraigg Braithwaite, and he spent a longer time at the crease, 20 minutes more, and significantly less dot balls for Shea Hope.
Yeah, well, joining us via Zoom to delve into the West Indies tour of England, cricket commentator Tony Gray, former West Indies fast bowler himself, 5 test matches and 25 ODIs. Tony, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Great to have you on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lance. Great to be here.
Yeah, first question, your thoughts on the numbers coming out of day 1 at Old Trafford today?
Yeah, I think it's good numbers for the West Indies team. Obviously, you're playing in England and in an English condition. So the first things first is to get used to the swinging ball, the movement of the seam, that sort of thing. So I think it's pleasing numbers that Kraigg Braithwaite, for example, have done well and gotten a good score.
All right, well, we know that the West Indies cricketers psychologically could be buoyed by the fact that they beat England in a test series, probably against the odds last year, and they will come into this test series knowing that on ability they have they have what it takes to match or get past the Englishmen, albeit in different conditions. Who are favourites for this series?
Well, I think it's balanced. I think it's 50-50. It depends on what happens during this month with the West Indies team. If the batsmen, for example, can acclimatize themselves to the conditions. The English conditions are extremely different from what they're accustomed to. And you know, it's a young batting unit that we have. But I think it's going to be different, and we can be successful if our batsmen do well, because we have a very good and potent bowling attack. So I think 50-50. I don't think that the Englishmen are going to be complacent in any way. They want that Wisden Trophy, and they will be very focused and they're very intense about getting it back.
You said a potent bowling attack. Then are you in agreement with Phil Simmons that the strength of this Windies team going into this test is our bowling?
Yeah, definitely. I think that when you look at Jason Holder, he's done well. He's been very assertive, and from the last time he played Test cricket, and which is some months ago, you have Shannon Gabriel. He seems to be fit now, and he's got the mental strength and he's got the pace. Shama Holder is a young bowler that I've worked with before with the combined campuses and colleges team, and he is a wonderful talent, very fit young man. And, you know, Alzari Joseph has partnered, you know, that youngster before, Shama Holder, in a World Cup tournament, and we won at the under-19 level. So we have a potent bowling attack, and hopefully they can make adjustments to the conditions in England.
Tony, something that hasn't sit very well with me, the amount of pressure that, you know, commentators and those giving their views are putting on Rakeem Cornwall. Many are saying that, you know, he will be the match winner for the team. I think people are forgetting the fact that, you know, he's new to this type of cricket. Do you see him as a match winner, and you see him having to really perform in this test in order to bring a victory for the Windies?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Mariah, because I think that we are talking a little too much about the bowling attack coming from the players. We need to be a little bit more measured in our commentary and what we're saying about this attack, because we don't want to put added pressure on our bowlers or our batsmen, and we don't want to give England any motivational strength because of what we're saying to the media. But I think that Cornwall is a very good bowler. He's new to the game. He's gotten some wickets at this level before, and he will bring the consistency and the kind of discipline that you need as a spinner in England, because the pitches do not really assist spinners. But I see him as a weapon that can be used to get wickets and to be consistent, a pressure bowler too.
Tony, we obviously don't have what we want in terms of the batsmen on tour, because Bravo has stayed away from the tour for personal reasons, and so too Shimron Hetmyer. So based on what we have, which of these batsmen do you think has the capacity to perhaps in a session or two take the game away from England in any one of these on one of these tests?
Well, I think that Blackwood. I think that Blackwood has improved his temperament. He is more selective in how he goes about his batting now, and he's a assertive player and is not intimidated by big-name bowlers. And we know that England has very good bowlers, potent bowlers. But Blackwood, I think, is somebody who can be aggressive, and we need that type of aggression. But he has control now. Shai Hope, as we know, the last time we were in England, he scored that wonderful 2 centuries in a test match in Headingley and created a record that had not been there for a long time. So Shai Hope is one that can sustain concentration over a long period, and that's what we want. But we want the balance. We want to take on the English bowlers, because the only way we can beat England in England is to be assertive and direct at them.
When you look at the 2 openers that many people feel we're going to start with, Tony, Kraigg Braithwaite and John Campbell, they were paired today. John Campbell, of course, went for a 16-ball duck. It would appear as if at both ends you have grind and grind. Kraigg will grind you down to get his runs, and John, at this level, may grind you down to get his runs as well. Is it perhaps a case where a different approach is going to be needed from one of those batsmen if we are to have an effective opening partnership against this wily England bowling attack of Broad and Anderson?
Yeah, excellent question against George. I think that when we look back at the dominant pass that the West Indies team had, we had Gordon Greenidge and Desmond Haynes, and 2 different types of batsmen, because one was very aggressive and controlled aggression in Gordon Greenidge, and the other one was a little bit more balanced in his approach. So we need the opening batsmen to be balanced. And Campbell, I think, looked the part in the Caribbean against the Englishmen, scored a couple of 40s. So he's the one that can play his normal, natural game. But again, he has to be used to the conditions, and these practice games are so imperatively necessary for him to get accustomed to the moving ball, because he's a Jamaican batsman, and Jamaican batsmen normally want to, play the ball straight and down the original line of the ball, but the ball is going to be seaming around. So Campbell is the one to be a little bit more assertive, and Kraigg Braithwaite must look to bat through the course of the innings.
Yeah, final one from me, Tony. Even though I'm looking at his record here, 32 tests, 5 centuries, 7.5 centuries, an average of 31.38. Ruston Chase frustrates me, Tony Gray. I see so much of a better cricketer than what he shows us, and he's given us some fantastic performances with ball and with bat since the time that he has come to the top table at Test cricket. But I just think there's so much more that Ruston Lamar Chase can give us at age 28. Are you, like me, expecting him to do something big in England this summer?
Yeah, I think that he's an intelligent player with both bat and ball. I think that when you look at Chase, he seems to be better in precarious positions when the West Indies team is struggling. He seems to focus a little bit more. He seems to concentrate harder. And I think that there will be some instances in England because of the potency of the English bowling attack where he will have to play a key role. And I'm looking forward to him staying out there and batting for long. So we have somebody like Shai Hope at the top of the order at number 3 who can bat for long. And we have somebody who can put pressure on the English bowling with his temperament in Shai Hope. So I'm looking forward for him, doing well and, scoring some runs in England this time around.
Yeah. Tony, we were making the point on the SportsMax Zone in the past week that all things considered, we have to say that the West Indies is doing as best as they can to prepare themselves properly for this series. The Englishmen have already reduced their training squad to 30 and I guess are preparing as well. But the fact that they are coming off an England winter and for the most part would not have played much competitive cricket since maybe September or October last year, whereas the Caribbean men would have played regional first-class cricket up to February of this year. Does that by itself give the West Indies, based on conditioning and match sharpness, any edge going into this series?
Not really. I think that both teams haven't played for a while. So it depends on how well they prepare. It's not just about physical preparation, it's about mental preparation. So I don't think that any team holds the advantage because both teams have been out of international cricket for some time now. So it's going to be 50-50. It's going to be a neutral position going into the first test match on the 8th.
Yeah. All right. Just before you go, then, Tony, 275 hole out by Kraigg Braithwaite's 11. Jason Holder's 11 will respond in the morning. Is that a total, looking at the Jason Holder batting lineup, that you think they'll be able to overhaul?
Yeah, definitely so. But the most important thing about this first practice game is that players get used to the conditions. Players get used to staying long at the wicket. It's not about winning the game, but it's about just toying out a bit and just doing the basics right. I think that in England, batsmen need to do the basics right. A lot of leaving the ball alone is important, and being disciplined. Playing the ball late, obviously, because the ball is going to be moving around, but being assertive and putting away the bad balls. But it's not really about winning this game. It's about getting used to the conditions and getting their mind in order for what is to come on the 8th.
Tony Greig, thanks for talking to us here on the SportsMax Zone, and we'll continue to be checking in with you on this test series, his start, because of exactly how it is happening. But we thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Tony Greig, good resource person in cricket discussions, of course, a former test player for the West Indies, and has also done a lot of coaching during his time in Trinidad and Tobago. And as he said, with the University of the campus and colleges team in regional cricket. But I'm very intrigued, George, just before you get in, about the two teams that are playing in this warm-up match. And I'm not sure, Tony Greig favours Jermaine Blackwood a lot. Shamar Brooks batted today and only made 17.
He batted at 3.
Yes.
Which is important.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that, as Phil Simmons said heading into this match, that this match will be a part of helping them to sort those batting positions out. And I'm not sure if Blackwood and Brooks are battling for a batting spot here.
I think they are. I think Blackwood and Brooks are battling for the battling, and Blackwood will be buoyed by the fact that, okay, so Brooks failed, so I'm going to go out there and fill my boots, so to speak. Well, fill your boots if you're playing football. I'm going to fill my bat with pock marks. I'm going to hit it all over. So Blackwood sees this as motivation. Just before you come, Mariah, and so I've answered that question, Whitaker. I think, I'm not going to say the runs on the board represent a false position for the Braithwaite 11, but I'm just going to say that they were spared a more thorough examination by the fact that the skipper didn't bowl, Jason Holder, because he has a bum ankle that he is just nursing, and it's a practice match, so why aggravate that? So Holder only fielded, he didn't bowl. Perhaps if he had bowled, the total may not have been what it was, and the batsman would have been given a more searching examination.
That's a reasonable assumption.
Yeah, a really good point, George, and that's why I'm saying I'm just taking the practice matches with a pinch of salt. Well, continuing with cricket, the Universe boss, Six Machine, Chris Gayle, has pulled out of the 2020 Caribbean Premier League, citing personal reasons. The Universe boss's decision was confirmed by his franchise, the St. Lucia Zouks. It is understood that in his email, Gayle pointed out that due to the lockdown, he has not been able to meet his family and his young child, who are in St. Kitts, while he has been in Jamaica. Gayle said he needed a break and wanted to spend time with his young family. George, I start with you. A reasonable explanation by Chris Gayle, or do you think there's more?
No, I think it's reasonable. And some people say, well, what's the fuss all about with how you left the Tallowers? But nobody knew that COVID would have done what it has done subsequent to that. I think it's reasonable. A man it's not as if the family was with him and then he came to that realization after contemplation. Family apart, you are seeing your wife on Zoom, you're seeing your infant daughter on Zoom or whichever other Blue Jeans or whichever other medium, and it's just not the same. And at Gayle's age and stage in life, Gayle is not someone looking to make a name for themselves, looking to prove anything to anyone. Gayle is 40 years old, he's been there and done that several times over. And I think you reach a stage in your career as a top-class athlete, top-class sportsman, which Gayle has been for the majority of his career, where you start to put things into perspective and you say, what do I have? And perhaps it is that his experience with the Tallowers and the whole brouhaha over how the Tallowers pushed him out the exit door has given him cause to say, well, what is most important in life? Look at how people have treated me.
Yeah.
I need to take care of, number one, I need to start with me. I need to take care of those people who are bound to me by blood and law to always be there for me, always supporting me no matter what. So I think that may have influenced his decision to say, look, strangers have let me down. In the professional environment, I've been let down by people. My family will never let me down. I'm going to stick with my family in this difficult time. I can understand it.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised by the decision, really, and you can't fight, Chris Gayle on the decision that he has made. But he did, at the time of his announcement that he would be playing for the St. Lucia Zouks, at that time, which was COVID-19 time as well, he did appear at that time very enthused about playing for the St. Lucia Zouks. Darren Sammy issued statements to the media about welcoming the Universe boss and suggested that he feels that Chris Gayle would use the CPL tournament to show the Talawas what they were missing. I'm wondering too, with Chris Gayle's decision, how much of an impact the likelihood of the World T20 tournament not being played in October could have weighed in on his decision as well, because it seems very likely that the World T20 tournament scheduled for October in Australia will now not be played, even though the official announcement hasn't yet come. And I believe that part of Chris Gayle's enthusiasm for playing in the CPL this year would have been to remind the West Indies selectors of his worth in T20 cricket, to guarantee or to certainly boost his stocks for a West Indies selection to Australia. And maybe it is that if the T20 World Cup isn't going to be played, the CPL T20 isn't meaning as much to Chris Gayle as it would have 2 or 3 months ago. But he has made his decision, and as you said, George, he hasn't seen his family for a long time now, and it's very important to him, he says, at this point, that he spend some time with his child and the child's mom.
What I do know, though, is it will be very different. It will be a different CPL without Chris Gayle as a journalist and as a fan, because, he brings that excitement to the CPL. And I feel like St. Lucia Zouks, like the little bit of hope that they would have had, Chris Gayle coming across, helping them to win a CPL title, that's sort of crushed. But maybe I'm just overseeing it. So we take a short break?
No, their marquee player is gone, so they will be weaker without Gayle, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so break time.